Hi everybody, welcome to the One Stop Wrestling YouTube channel once again. I am Craig Smith, as always, and today we have such a special guest. We have promoter and owner of Ignite Wrestling out of Florida, Kim Artlip. Thank you so much for coming on and talking to me today, Kim. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's beautiful. We're 2 days from a show. The weather is going to be perfect, and it's our first time working outside doing a show.
So let's get straight into that. So you're saying you're doing a show this Saturday, Kegamania, which is also your 6th anniversary show, if I'm correct.
Yes, 6 years to the date of our first show. So it's kind of a big occasion, and we partnered with the Florida Brewers Guild and our venue, Walking Tree Brewery, to do Kegamania. So what they're going to do is 30 breweries will be there, all sampling beer, and they will compete for the Kegamania belt. We'll be outside wrestling in the parking lot, bands going all around us, food trucks. It's going to be a fun day.
So you're saying, like, this is your first time doing an outdoor show.
Yeah.
How different is that to prepare for?
They're saying sunny, no rain, 70, 75 degrees Fahrenheit. It's going to be gorgeous.
I mean, let's hope we don't have any sort of repeat of WrestleMania last year.
No rain.
I think everybody thought that was going to be safe around the day of the show.
If we have to, we can move the ring 20, 30 feet inside the building. I mean, we're like right beside the building. We can be right inside.
So what can fans expect from this anniversary show?
We have 2 titles on the line, the women's and the men's tag team. We have Gangrel, who I have been waiting to work with for 6 years, and I'm very excited to finally work with Gangrel. I've got a couple bucket list matches that I've always wanted to do. Leon Ravage versus his former tag partner, Wolf Taylor. That's going to be there. I've got 4 debuts. Just a lot of fun. We have a great bunch of core guys that we work with. So we're just going to have a blast. That's all I want to do is have fun.
Right, so I'm going to outright ask you.
Okay.
Because I always like us about independent shows. Some promoters are different from others. Now, you've got Gangrel.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to hear Gangrel's infamous theme song play?
The Brood entrance? Yes, absolutely. Already
you
cleared
cannot
that
have a
with them.
Gangrel entrance
You
without
cannot have
that
Gangrel
infamous
without the Brood music. That's
fire.
Gangrel.
Have we got fire for it?
Unfortunately, no. There'll be no fire. Well, because of the brewery and it's a live brewery situation, we cannot do pyrotechnics.
Yeah, you're probably on the right way there. That could go horribly wrong. It's going to be real exciting. Gangrel
it'll be awesome, but with the being that crowded and that many people and never doing pyrotechnics, that's not. I don't want to learn to do it on the spot. That's a recipe for disaster.
Mix of alcohol.
Yeah, alcohol and explosives do not go well.
So 6 years. So how did Ignite Wrestling come around? What was the moment you sat down and you went, do you know what? I want to be the promoter. I want to be the owner. How did it come about?
It's kind of embarrassing. I was at another show and it was so awful. We'd gone to it a couple times and we laughed. I mean, it was just so bad. It was funny. And I looked at my husband and I said, I could do better than this. And he's like, okay. So 6 months to a year later, we were doing our first show. But I spent a year learning, watching what people were doing. Then I did the complete opposite. So
when you say you did the complete opposite by watching, who did you watch?
I was watching other indie companies and around in Florida and different places and seeing how they did stuff. I was asking, Lindsay Dorado was fantastic. He told me a lot of things I should and shouldn't do. John Cruz, a lot of different people, Jay Rios. were telling me, don't do this, don't do that, don't pay this, don't pay that. Because everybody, it seemed like a big thing in Florida that wrestling companies are owned by former wrestlers. So you get a lot of former wrestlers that have never run a business doing it. They last a couple shows and then they're gone.
Yeah.
I came from a business background. I was a project account manager for one of the largest tech platforms of its kind in the world. I approached it as a business, and I run it differently than a lot of people do. I don't depend on the door. A lot of people are like, hey, the door was light, sorry, can't pay you. Everybody on my roster for Saturday but one person is paid now.
That's fantastic.
I just lost my power there for a second. Oh, there it's back.
So how do you feel you've grown in those 6 years? What's been the hardest things you've found along the way to help you grow your brand?
Learning who to trust. There's a lot of people, and it's not just wrestling, it's any industry that you're in. There are a lot of people that want to piggyback you.
Absolutely.
They want to take advantage of you. They tell you things that aren't necessarily true. There's just a lot of things that happen. My monitor just went out, but you can still see me, can't you?
I can still see you.
Yeah, I have a cat behind my monitor. I apologize about that. He's rolling around back there. But no, a lot of it was, just being comfortable and being confident. It took me a while to find my voice in the sport, and to not sound defensive. I think the first 2 years I was a little defensive about stuff, and I took things too personally. So it took me a couple years to get comfortable in my skin doing this. But I'm also older, and I don't cry as easily as some people do.
Right. So definitely a question my girlfriend's asked me to ask you. She wants to know, has it been difficult, obviously, being a woman in which has been known for such a male-dominated industry for so long? Have you felt that, not necessarily hindered, but do you feel that it's been more difficult for you in any sort of capacity?
It was in the beginning. It really was in the beginning, and it just depends on who you're with, and a lot of the guys. I had people, like I said, people that want to take advantage of you. They were like, we'll book the show, you pay for it, and you can go work the concession stand. And I'm like, why would I work the concession stand at my own show? There was just a lot of that. I had people that we would go places, and I would try to talk to them. There was a couple wrestlers, they wouldn't even talk to me. They would turn to my husband. They never have worked for me because I screw that,
Yeah, exactly.
If you can't show me a little bit of respect, I don't know what to tell you.
No, I from the outside, it does seem like an industry is changing. Maybe not fast enough as some industries, but it's so good that you can see people like yourself who are coming along, who are breaking the mold, and are just doing good because you want to do good. So that's absolutely fantastic to see.
I'm sure I got people. I had people that that made very derogatory comments, and I'll say that. I had people that said I was only doing this so I could sleep with guys that wrestled. And you wouldn't say that to a guy. You wouldn't say, "Oh, you're doing a wrestling company so you can sleep with workers." I'm very happily married to a very nice, fantastic, supportive guy that lets me do this and he's not involved in the company at all. He shows up on show day, he sells tickets, he carries stuff, he makes sure I drink. He lets me do this. And I think that's the big thing is people aren't used to outside of the UK. The UK is fantastic. You have a lot of strong female owners and promoters over there.
Yes.
The US, we didn't have that. You had husbands and wives that, sold tickets. There are females involved, even that I know, that have never set foot in a locker room. How can you be running a company or involved in the company and you can't go in the locker room because you might see somebody changing their clothes, big deal. I have a 38-year-old son. There ain't nothing nobody's got that I haven't seen, and I'm not there to see it.
Oh, that's amazing. So any interview I'm doing at the moment, it's not a subject I want to talk about, but you can't go without it. Obviously, the world has changed over the last 2 years, and it doesn't matter where you are. COVID is a thing. It's progressively cases going up again and that. When the pandemic first began, what went through your mind as you initially saw the numbers and you saw companies start to wind down and shut down shows? How difficult was that for you?
We shut down. We did a show January 2020. We shut down for an entire year. I would never put the workers or the fans at risk like that. And I know there's people who are critical that we're running this weekend, but it's an outdoor event. I can't control the pandemic any more than I can ask people to please wear a mask, because that's our big problem in the US. They don't want to vaccinate. They don't want to wear a mask. If we would all get together globally and just use some common sense, this would have ended. But,
Well, I mean, common sense, you said it. People don't seem to want to use it. Not everybody. I mean, there's
it's frustrating, but I didn't completely disappear for that year. We began doing Ignite Rewind. We started doing throwback videos. We added like 100 products to our store. We did all these things. Plus we have a digital magazine. I never stopped working that whole year when we didn't run shows. For 11 months, I didn't have a show. But I never stopped working. I was still creating content, still interacting with fans, still tripled our social media presence in that year. I mean, we're not running, but we didn't disappear. We just kept going at it.
At any point, did you consider doing closed tapings like the likes of Ring of Honor and Impact? Or was that just completely off the table?
We could have done that at the brewery, but it wouldn't have made any sense for us to do that, because everyone would have traveled in, and to lock the brewery down completely, because not only that's a source of income for them, but it also, the workers can't sell their merchandise. They lose that source of income. A lot of our shutdown had to do with the Florida Brewery Guild, and I respect that, and that's our state. The Brewery Guild, on recommendation, shut down. Our venue could only serve beer as a pickup from outside. You drove up to the curb and picked it up. So there was really no way we could have done it safely. We weren't AEW, and we didn't have the money, and I know people wanted to work, but there was just no safe alternative and no way that we could do it, because the brewery couldn't allow us in there to do it anyway. And to find another building, because every other building here is county owned that we could use. When the county shut down, that shut us down. And I certainly wasn't going to do it in somebody's hayfield down here.
I think the most important thing you've done was you kept fans safe by not running shows. And not only that, you kept the talent running. And it's fantastic, like so many promotions, that you've came out of the other end now. What was your first show back?
Our first show back was January last year, our 50th anniversary show. That was our return. It was our January 23rd last year. We came back, and we've ran January, May, September, and then we've got this one coming up this weekend. So we only do 3 shows a year anyway. So it doesn't impact us as hard as it does these guys that run monthly, weekly shows or bi-weekly shows. Because when I built this to not be it's more of an event that you look forward to, not, oh crap, it's the first Monday of the month, I got to go to wrestling. So, it's built out to be digital. It's built out to, for people to follow us. We don't do storylines, so you're not really missing anything. We don't do a lot of build up to that. I ran it differently, so when there are breaks, that people can come right back in, and it's like, hey, it's wrestling, not so and so's moved on. It's 2 years later. It's just wrestling.
And sometimes that's what people just want. Sometimes that's the best model. If you look at the model that, say, Progress Wrestling have, when it's changed slightly now since it's gone on to the WWE Network, but it was an event you looked forward to. It had very minimal storylines, and it was just about the talent who they booked on the weekend, and you looked forward to it. You would go with your friends, and you'd see the wrestlers that you like to see, and it's something you don't need the weekly TV show. It's just wrestling's evolved now beyond a weekly TV show, I personally feel.
The wrestlers are good enough storytellers. If you get the right people, they're good enough storytellers. The majority of our fans, we're not a wrestling community that we're in. The majority of the fans can come in and they know who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. Let the wrestlers do what they do and let them tell the story in the ring, and, you know, engaging with the crowd and whatever they got to do. We also don't cut promos in the ring. I don't allow that, because it's wasted time, because nobody knows who these guys are. So them going back and forth on a mic does nothing in the show, because half the crowd has no idea who this guy and this guy is. Just get in there and wrestle. I think
somewhere Bruce Pritchard has just pulled whatever hair he's got left out. Yeah. But yeah, you're absolutely right. There just isn't enough wrestling promotions around now that just allow the talent like yourself to get in the ring and to wrestle and to tell the story that way. So I saw a tweet that you did about AEW Dark. What does AEW Dark represent to you just now? Because obviously Ignite has its fingerprints on just more than Florida, with people who have passed through and gone. How does that make you feel?
I've always said that I want Ignite to be one of the places where you feel that you must work as you work your way up to AEW and the WWE. To me, seeing these guys on AEW and to Dark and Dynamite and Elevation, that's like, yeah, we've seen this now. We get the whole world gets to see what we're doing down here, and the kind of people these guys are. Catalina Perez, Kylan King, for example, Red Velvet, even Renee Michelle have all come through Ignite at some point. And I'm particularly proud of the women, seeing the women getting to get out there and get their names and faces known. Now everybody knows Serpentico from AEW. Great guy. And he's one of my dearest friends in the world. Love that nut. But, getting them out past the Florida indie scene and getting them traveling the world, that, I hate to see them go, but God bless them. That was their dream. And I got to be a little tiny piece of it.
Do you have any or small communication with Tony Khan over these kind of things? Is Tony someone you've met?
Never met him. Never talked to him.
Sounds just interesting.
No, they don't talk to us. Now I know a lot of people that work there. I'm nothing in Tony Khan's world. Never met him. I don't go to his event. I haven't been to an AEW event yet. Someday, because they're doing their taping during my show this Saturday. So yeah, I won't be there. I'm not going to skip my show to go watch his.
Right, so you're talking about women's wrestling and how that makes you proud, and that's why you kind of really like seeing that. In your own personal opinion, who is helping push the women the most at the moment of the promotions that are running? So like Impact, AEW, WWE, NWA.
I would say, honestly, I think it's Ring of Honor and AEW here in the US. I mean, look at Thunder Rosa. Look what Thunder Rosa is doing for women. She's phenomenal. Seeing all these Japanese wrestlers that are coming into AEW, we would never see in the WWE because they only have one or two and they don't promote them. Getting to see that and getting to see, Maxi Impaler, getting to see non-binary wrestlers and all these phenomenal wrestlers that would have never got a chance to wrestle in the WWE. It's moving wrestling, not even women's wrestling. It's just moving wrestling forward.
Why do you think Vince is like that? What makes you think that?
He's a dinosaur. He's set in his ways. Think about it. If you look back at he's always talked the same way. He's always dressed the same way. He's a creature of habit. And even though they do have the WWE network, he is very much a creature of habit. And when Triple H took over NXT and went in that whole direction with Regal, and they built that out, he wasn't happy. He wasn't happy. Somewhere he was like, nobody's going to like this. I'll let you guys do it. It's going to fail. And then when it blew up, it was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think, because obviously social media, and you get to see how people react to negativity. That I don't think Vince or Bruce Pritchard or any of these people in WWE are booking anything wrong. I think what they're doing is they're kind of using the booking 101, but from 1980 into 1990s. They're doing it correctly, but it's not progressing with the times, and that's where I think you're absolutely spot on. Vince is stuck in his ways.
We're past the Attitude Era. We're past puppies and models as wrestlers and everything. And what is he doing? They're bringing in athletes to train as wrestlers and totally disregarding the people that have spent years in the sport. They're going back to looks. They're going back to looks and bringing in people, not the athletics, because I know phenomenal wrestlers that don't have the look he likes, that he won't give a chance to. They're too old. They're too short. They're too thin. And I always put that quote up every year or two. It's a Serpentico quote. He actually said, I'm too small. I'm too Hispanic. I'm not Hispanic enough. He would have never made it. And he had a tryout. They passed on him. Now look at him a year or two later at AEW.
Exactly.
On the Jericho cruise, and stuff. They would have never given him a chance because he didn't fit their model. Because Vince has an idea in his head what the girls should look like, what the guys should look like. The fact that they have Piper, was it Piper Nevin in there?
Yes, she's the drop at the moment.
Blows my mind that they have her in there because she doesn't fit their mold.
Seeing Doudrop and Nikki Cross on there, because obviously being from Glasgow myself, it's phenomenal getting to see these people. But if you told me 2 or 3 years ago that Doudrop would be fighting Becky Lynch at the Royal Rumble for the Raw Women's Championship, I would have called you crazy.
I still don't think they're pushing them as equally as they do.
Absolutely not.
A couple, the Carmelas and all these other girls who I'm not taking anything away from what they do in the ring. I just think that they have an image of what their champion should look like, and that champion is 120 pounds.
If they were pushing the women as equals, we would not be getting Mickie James in the Royal Rumble as the Impact World Champion. She would be going into the Royal Rumble as a member of the WWE roster.
That's true. I didn't think about that. That's absolutely true. I'm curious to see who they're going to bring out of mothballs and bring in. I wouldn't be surprised to see Gail Kim in it. We're going to see Lita, the same ones they always drag out. But they just cut a whole bunch of people. They had Santana Garrett in the Royal Rumble. What was it, 2 years ago, a year or two?
And
they cut her from the roster. So nothing they do makes sense. Even though I think the whole thing with Santana was she was older and more set in her ways and had a certain work style.
But why not keep her? Why not keep her and have her work with the likes of Shotzi issues coming up. I mean, when you get rid of Santina and you get rid of the likes of Mickey James and that, you're cutting so much off from having this younger talent come through and working with seasoned veterans. Just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, there's I won't say the name, but there's a girl in the Indies, and she's been working the same match like every show with the same person. And I'm never impressed with those matches. I've seen her on bigger shows working better girls. She can rise to the occasion. They're not going to rise to the occasion and give a good match with people that can't work. That's just the way it is. They're limiting what some of these people can do. Yeah. And they keep some people that I don't know why they stayed too long at the party.
So just before we get off the WWE topic, we got on to
okay. Sorry.
As a promoter, I've got to ask you, what's your feelings on the 100 plus releases we've seen over the last 18 months?
You have to repeat that. I lost part of that.
So like over the last 18 months, obviously WWE have released 100 plus wrestlers. As a promoter, how do you see that? What's your thoughts?
I think that used to be there was a turnover. There always used to be a turnover, but the way they're batching them in large groups without any rhyme or reason, because I understood a couple of these guys that have been injured and are coming back and are not going to be that good, but basically putting it out there like, if you're 32 years old, we don't want you, and dropping a lot of these people. It's just not a lot of, there's got to be more to the story than we're knowing. They may be assholes in the dressing room. We don't know. But, I think that them with the money that they're making and the deals that they're making to turn around and say it's budgetary, you don't insult us. We know it's not budgetary. You're all getting raises. You're setting records. You can't come back and say it's a budgetary thing. Now, I get that it's COVID and you can't work as many people, but there's guys that I haven't seen on television in forever that are still on that roster. It's the same guys every time. I love Corbin. There's a couple of them I like, but I don't want to see them every week. I'd like to see other faces. Mix it up. They don't have to be on there every week.
Have you personally reached out to anyone that's been released for appearing on any of the upcoming shows?
Have I said that again?
Have you personally reached out to anyone who's been released by the WWE for any upcoming shows?
I have. I can't. I have 1, 2, 3, 5 people. I've talked to 5. Some of it's a budgetary thing. They're really wanting a lot post-COVID, Hi, I wrestled for you for X amount. Now I went 8 times that amount because I was in the WWE. Some of it's budgetary, but honestly, the majority of it is scheduling. They're so in demand right now, and there's so many, and there's all these cons and everything going on at the same time. See, we wanted to get, we were hoping to get somebody for this event that was more for meet and greet, but there's a convention in Pennsylvania. So that took all the legends are in Pennsylvania, except for Gangrel, because we already had Gangrel. I'm not dissing Gangrel, but we were going to bring in one other name along with Gangrel, but everybody was in Pennsylvania but Gangrel. But we bagged Gangrel a while back before that con. But no, there's a lot of them I'd like to work with. There's some that I wouldn't work with. But yeah, we've reached out. Honestly, it's more of them reaching out saying, hey, my 90 days is up, or hey, my 30 days are up. What you got coming up? We've had quite a few that have reached out. And it's a lot of it's just scheduling, because we only run 3 times. So when you have three dates a year, you can't get everybody you want to get when you only have 3 days a year to do it.
Right. So this next question, I actually have a visual aid with me, which is
okay.
Yeah.
Wrestle Crate.
Yeah, I am a subscriber. So, fans who want to watch Ignite anywhere in the world, how do they do it?
You go to pivotshare.com and use the coupon code Ignite, and they get a free thing. I think it's on there. But yeah, Wrestle Crate UK reached out to us and said, hey, we're doing a big December promotion for Christmas, and we'd like to, can you send us a flyer? And I ignored them. And then they reached out a second time and said, hey, can you do it? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I shot it over like a half hour later, and it was like, oh, wow, you actually had it done. I was like, yeah. But yeah, I've been seeing those popping up. People keep sending me pictures of them and I keep seeing them in unboxing videos. So it's really cool to do that, because we love the UK. And our second largest audience is the UK, US, UK, and India.
And just for people who are watching this in the UK, you can catch Ignite on Powered for TV.
Yeah, Powered for TV, YouTube, if you can pick it up on YouTube over there, and Twitch. We don't put a lot of our matches on Twitch, but we do have some of our stuff on Twitch. Mainly because I just really suck at Twitch. I don't game, so it's awkward for me to play. I play videos, but everybody's like, you need to game. And I'm like, yeah, we tried that one night. I went to gaming night and I played with Sue Young and Rich Swan. And they finally took the controller off of me because I didn't know how. I don't play video games. And my little guy was hopping up and down and kicking, and that's all he could do in a circle. And they're just like, yeah, kill her. And they kept killing my character.
That's amazing. That's a fantastic story. So obviously, because I'm going to ask, because I am from the UK, is it something you'd love to do somewhere down the line? Is run something from the UK if it ever presented you in a good financial way?
Would I like to run something in the UK?
Yeah, just like one show, one off, one special.
I would love to do the UK. I'd love to come to I've never been to the UK, so that's a bucket list for me. I would love to come to the UK and do a cross promotion or something.
I'm telling you right now, we are the most dedicated, loyal wrestling fans out there.
I've seen that.
I mean, we have to be to watch any show live at 1 a.m. Most of my youth was destroyed watching Monday Night Raw to 4 a.m. It's a tough life being a wrestling fan over here.
I'm so old that I used to do the rabbit ears on the television so I could watch the old something. It was Greg Gagne's Out in the Midwest, and I could only pick it up on some obscure channel with rabbit ears with foil on it. And I'd watch it.
AWA.
AWA, that's it. I blanked on it for a second. I started to say AWE and I knew that was wrong in my head. But it would be like 1 or 2 in the morning and I would be watching Stan Hansen.
I mean, who doesn't want to watch Stan Hansen at 2 a.m. in the morning?
Hey, that's when he had the belt before he drove it over with the pickup truck. When he refused to give their title back. There was a lot of people. I watched the old Memphis wrestling. I watched some of the really obscure stuff that was on these bizarre little channels, and Doctor Who. That's the other thing I watched. It was in the middle of the night. I'm in there watching Doctor Who.
So I have some quick questions to allow our viewers to get to know you a little bit better. So first question, what was the first wrestling show you watched on TV?
I watched the old superstars of the WWF at my grandmother's house every Sunday at 11 a.m. And it was awesome. Vince Senior that ran it, was the host. That's how old I am.
You're gonna have to give that away. I'm not giving my age away. So, first wrestling show you ever attended in person?
1969, Bruno Sammartino and Batman again wrestled at our high school gymnasium.
I'm quite jealous of that. My high school gymnasium never had anything like that.
Yeah, my dad took me. I was 5 years old, and I loved wrestling, and I was a big Bruno Sammartino fan. And I don't remember the guy he wrestled, but Batman came out and saved him.
That's amazing. Like anything that Batman comes out to involved in wrestling and Bruno Sammartino.
Yeah, there was a Batman. But yeah, that was my first show. Was February 1969.
Right. So this next question is a two-part answer.
Okay.
I want to know your Mount Rushmore of wrestlers, but not. I want to know your Ignite Mount Rushmore and your own personal favorite Mount Rushmore.
My favorite Ignite wrestler?
Your Mount Rushmore of Ignite wrestling.
Danny Burch.
I'm so happy you got Danny on there.
Danny worked as Martin Stone. I loved working with him. I only got to do it a handful of times, but I love that guy. Sweetest guy. He'd go out there and just beat the crap out of everybody, and so technical in the ring. He was doing moves that guys didn't even know what they were. Now my all-time Mount Rushmore of wrestlers is Stan Hansen.
Stan Hansen.
I am a huge Stan Hansen fan. And anybody that knows me knows I love Stan Hansen. Give me a lariat and a bulldog and I'm a happy camper.
Right. Your favorite match as a promoter that you've booked?
That would be, I have to think about that one. That would probably be, I have two. Ray Fury and Serpentico, because I love Lucha, which was a fantastic match. And the other one was Timmy Lou Retton, Beastly, and who was the third guy? Timmy Lou, Beastly, and Justin Blacks, the Thrill Seeker. They had a triple threat that just blew me away, the moves those guys did and how fast they did them.
Awesome. Right. So if you could book any dream match for an Ignite show, no one's off the table, you can book any dream match, what are you booking?
I'm booking CM Punk and CM Punk and Danny Burch and Danny Burch before he was injured.
What Punk are we picking? Are we picking
We're
2010
picking,
Punk or AEW Punk?
We're gonna do 2010 Punk and Danny and 4 years ago Danny Burch.
That's definitely something that I would buy a ticket for. I think most people, any wrestling fan out there.
And if it wasn't that, if it wasn't those two, then it would definitely be Heartbreak Kid in his prime in the Attitude Era against Serpentico.
I mean, Sean's just one of the wrestlers that just got better as time.
Oh yeah.
And he's also one of those wrestlers that he's about like Kurt Angle. They could not have a bad match.
No, they don't.
They're on a level where it's just so difficult to get to. It's phenomenal. But again, yeah, another match would be amazing.
The thing I've always liked about Shawn Michaels is he makes everything look so effortless. I mean, some guys are in there and they're just so fluid in everything they do. He's one of those. His moves just flow like he's not even thinking about it. It's just second nature. Everything's second nature to him. And I like that.
Favorite Shawn Michaels match?
Anything he did with any of the Hearts. I want to Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels match. Anything he did. Anything he did. Like, I don't have a favorite. I just loved anything he did. I was a big fan of him and Diesel, you know, back when he was when Big Daddy, it was Big Daddy Cool and everything. No, I just, anytime he does Sweet Chin Music, I'm happy. I love that move. I would pop so hard on that.
And no one can still do it as good as HBK.
No.
Well, Kim, I wish you all the best of luck for Saturday. Everybody's going to know how to watch the show once you've edited it and where exactly you can watch it. You can find all that information out on One Stop Wrestling as you watch this interview. And honestly, Kim, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. All the best for Saturday, and all the best for coming up to your 10th year anniversary in a few years.
I hope I'm still here in 4 more years.
I am sure you will.
But thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.